So Three Friends, it was the first sort of concept album. Whose idea was it to sort of come up with a full concept that would spread across a whole album?
I think it was probably Phil first and myself. I mean, we did the lyrics, and we decided that Phil. We decided to think about a concept. I mean, it sounds. Again, it sounds kind of pretentious to even talk about that in this day and age, but this is a day of albums, and people would listen to the whole thing on an LP. Which people today now listen today and see an LP and think, wow, what's that? But that's all we had in those days. Really, it was about three friends who were together in school, and you're all in it together, and they go their separate ways, and. When you get older and your lives are changing, and even though you're close at school, and you're all part and parcel of one family, the family spreads and breaks apart and doesn't ever come back to being a family anymore. So it really is. It's not really a concept, but it's a concept about the people, kids in school and their ways of life, and someone becomes a banker, someone becomes an artisan, and someone becomes a bricklayer or whatever it is. But when you're younger, you're all the same thing. You're all part and parcel of, being in school together. So it was a comment, not essentially a concept, if you like.
Right. For me, from that album, I think "Peel the Paint" definitely stands out. And I think it sort of goes back to what you were saying earlier on about you do get this sense that it is a very precise song. It definitely does feel like a song that was written and rehearsed very, very thoroughly. And especially, Malcolm's sort of drumming is so varied in the background too. Did everyone sort of have the freedom to experiment and sort of try sort of, a different drum beat for each sort of section?
That's an interesting question. I'm trying to think about the album itself. I think most of the album it was written and quite precise going in. One thing we did a lot of when we were on the road and recording, we rehearsed. We rehearsed and we rehearsed and we rehearsed. That's something we did because we wanted to do it, and again challenging ourselves and to make sure that we presented ourselves on a live basis as well as we could. But to answer your question, there was a couple of times on the Three Friends album, and I'm trying to think, when there was a guitar solo, and that was pretty much with Malcolm playing drums and a guitar solo, and I can't remember what song it was. It probably was Peel the Paint, a drum and guitar thing, and that was one of the very few times that was a jam. I mean, it wasn't a jam exactly that, exactly a jam. Let's go in and play whatever we want. But it was because it was a period. It was a time frame and a few X number of bars to get it done. However, that was one of the very few times that the band jammed, if you like, and that was and it kind of worked in its a crazy way.
It's definitely one of my favorites. I think that bit does feel quite loose but almost like the guitar and the drum are sort of trying to sort of outshine each other in that moment. They're sort of both building up.
Well, again, yes, you're right, and that was part of what we wanted to do. Had you had had you been born 50 years before, or I don't know how old you are, but 40 years before, or whatever it is, one thing we did at live, was we didn't jam per se, but we did. We were a lot looser. We never took. We played our songs or the music that we had on our albums, but we stretched them out and did different things. So effectively, what we had on the album was a sketch for the painting we took on stage, if that makes any sense. So that, for instance, Peel the Paint, we do different things during the song that you would not hear on the album. We love to surprise people on stage. We didn't, put our heads down and say, okay, here's the next song, and it sounds exactly like the album. We wanted to to entertain, we wanted to surprise, and we wanted to shock, and we also wanted to enjoy ourselves. and in enjoying ourselves, wanted the audience to enjoy themselves. And we smiled at on stage. We weren't ultra serious classical musicians. We said, hey, come on, enjoy yourself. This is fun. So so that to answer the question about your question about jamming, we didn't jam on stage, but we certainly lengthened and did very very different things that were not on the albums that were recorded, but they were certainly rehearsed and done in a way that were done in the way that we wanted and rehearsed. But again, it was done with a sense of humor and or a sense of self-deprecation, if you like. That's why we never became that popular.